been to a couple of conferences in the lithium sector over the last few months. Everyone's saying the same thing, that that supply is not going to meet the demand. Supply is going to struggle to get online as quickly as what the demand requires. So I think over the short to medium term, and that's probably over the next 12 months to 5 years, I think the outlook is very positive for anyone getting into production. You're going to find a market.
Today, we're diving into the story of Argosy Minerals. They are going to be the next lithium carbonate producer globally. We all know about the exciting tailwinds and trends with the electrification of vehicles around the world. And we know that the EVs demand lithium. There's a lot of focus on current and near-term producers, and Argosy Minerals are just about to come online. Today, we're discussing the story of ASX AGY. We're welcoming back the CEO and Managing Director, Jerko Zuvela. Jerko, there's a lot of excitement. It's great to have you back on the channel, mate.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your time.
It's an absolute pleasure. Of course, we'll talk about the news flow and what's up ahead. But maybe for those who are not familiar with the Argosy Minerals story, did you want to give us the refresher of who you are and where you're currently positioned?
Yeah, Argosy Minerals, ASX listed company, as you said. We've got the Rincon Lithium Project in Argentina in Salta province. We've advanced our project to the stage where we're moving, like you said, into small scale commercial production over the next few months. We've built a 2,000 tonne per annum facility that we're currently commissioning, with a plan to look to expanding that with a further 10,000 tonne per annum production capacity with the next stage construction works. We're looking also beyond that a little bit as well, but that's sort of what we're looking to achieve over the short term and coming period for the company.
Beautiful. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Rincon. I think the last update, you've been doing them monthly, which the investors have been enjoying, was 95% development works. You're obviously right around the time of production commencing very soon. Did you want to talk about what it's been like getting to this point and how it is all currently positioned?
Yeah, like you said, as of I think it was end of last month, we were at 95% with 98% construction works complete. So construction's effectively nearly completed or very much completed. We're working through the commissioning phase at the moment. I think it was almost about half of the commissioning works were done in that status update. So we've been continuing that commissioning works. Things are going pretty well. Obviously, it's been a tough, probably last 6 months. Not tough, but in terms of personnel, in terms of supply chains, making sure we can get to this stage has been very exciting. A little bit anxious as well, I guess, with trying to meet our demands and requirements. Takes a lot of work, a lot of people that we've had on site, managing all these different contractors and groups to come to site during this commissioning and even prior to that, the installation phase. So a lot of works, a lot of excitement, a lot of nervousness. Things have gone very well, subject to, you never get everything right 100% in terms of timeframes, but in terms of getting the work done, our local team is, I think, second to none. Pablo and his team have done a great job. We've set ourselves up to be very successful, given where current lithium prices are, and running some of these, these models. We're working on a feasibility type scenario as well. So, with current lithium prices, it's very lucrative, very attractive, and it really sets us up for that next stage of construction and expansion that that we think are really going to put the company into a very strong position over the next few years.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's obviously great to see the modular approach you've taken. You got the stage 1 and then into the stage 2, starting with a small scale, but obviously gives you that exposure to the elevated lithium prices that we're seeing around at the moment. Did you want to talk about the strategic rationale behind that? Obviously, it de-risks it as well as the lower capex, and then you can scale that up.
Yeah, that's the theory. But saying that, we won't take too much credit. Obviously, it's all ridden off the back of these high lithium prices. If prices have stayed where they were 18 months ago, then it's not as exciting, not as lucrative, not as much of a value proposition, I guess, when prices are $10,000 to $15,000 a tonne versus $70,000 a tonne. That's all just potentially free cash flow on top of those numbers that where the lithium prices were versus where they are now. So that's the very exciting part. That as I said earlier, moving to that next stage, it really gives us a leg up that we've been able to, like you said, through that industrial scale pilot plant stage, sort of be comfortable with that technology solution that we could apply it to the 2,000 tonne operation. We'll be able to show that over the next few months that's successfully implemented and commissioned and producing. And then off the back of that, that really gives us confidence that we can go and invest that next round of money, which is a lot more albeit, like you said, in a modular fashion. We think we'll de-risk it as best we can in any sort of way to develop a project. There's not much more we could have done to, like you said, to de-risk it. Whoever's money it is, it's still someone's money that needs to be invested, whether it's shareholders, whether it's third-party project financiers, whether it's strategic groups. They all need to put that money in. They're all concerned about that money. And, a lot of them, or nearly all of them, have said that this is the best way to not only de-risk a project, but to develop a project in the lithium space, given the challenges that many others have had in developing lithium projects. Over the last 15, 20 years, only Orocobre brought a lithium brine project into production. There's many other big companies, POSCO, Eramet, Sentient, that have tried to develop projects and haven't succeeded, and it's off the back of the technology. And if you've got to go invest $500 million, $1 billion off the back of starting from scratch or starting from zero production, you never can be 100% confident or overly confident that your technology, albeit it might work in a lab scale, but can it work at commercial scale? Can it work at altitude? Like I said, we've seen some of these other bigger companies fail when they've tried. So hopefully they've learnt from that. But that's the challenge. And for a junior company like us, we feel that's the best way to go about it. We've got a lot of confidence. It's the same technology pathway. It's the same concentrated brine that goes into the pilot plant as will go into the 2,000 and the 10,000 tonne expansion. Same equipment, albeit it's gone from batch process to continuous process. But everything we've done in a way that gives us every chance to succeed. And touch wood, things are looking pretty good on the 2,000 tonne per annum front. We expect to be producing good quality battery product. And that puts us in good stead then to start building that next stage expansion off the back of probably what will be a strategic investment into the company to help with the capex requirements for that off the back of offtake arrangements. So people like what we've been doing. We've had a lot of interest. That interest has only increased and potentially more in our favour over the last 12 months, given where lithium prices has gone, where that demand profile for lithium carbonate product has gone from and now to, and the difficulties we've seen with existing projects further expanding or new projects getting into production. We're really in a good spot. And like I said, we won't take too much credit for jumping ahead. We always want to be project developers, project operators, project producers. We decided that back when we started the project in 2017. We had a few lean years in 2019, 20 where we couldn't do much. But really, it has paid dividends over the last 18 months with this progress. And, we're very excited to become, like you said, the next lithium carbonate producer anywhere in the world.
It's very exciting. And yeah, congratulations to yourself and your team for achieving that milestone. I want to ask about that pathway towards 10,000. You previously did talk about a CapEx funding solution, obviously still busy working on that. Can you talk about some of the thinking surrounding that? I know you mentioned potentially maybe it might have an equity component involved as well. How is it potentially looking?
Looking very positive. I know we've probably been talking about it, and our shareholders probably becoming a little bit frustrated with how much we've talked about it without being able to deliver something to date. But we have been, sort of working on it for the last, 12 to 15 months. And obviously prior to that was in much more difficult times. So I probably discount a lot of that because, that never went anywhere, unfortunately, albeit we had some very good groups interested and involved, and they just couldn't quite get their heads around it. And it made sense at, $5,000 to $10,000 per tonne lithium price. It didn't make much sense. Whereas, like I said, over the last 12 to 15 months, where prices sort of went from that 15 to 30, and then earlier this year up to the 70 that we're at now, and plus, a lot of these Western OEMs realizing that lithium's not easy to procure, not easy to get, and that extra sort of interest in the sector over the last probably 6 to 9 months has really seen the groups that we've been dealing with increase, and probably the terms of what we've been dealing with increase as well. And as we've always said, we're trying to find a capex funding solution that's involved with or centered around a prepayment to fund the capex, and that's exactly very much what we're hoping to achieve. We've got some, we're working towards those sort of solutions, and we think we'll be able to achieve that. Hopefully over the next 2 to 3 months, we'll be able to come out with some news regarding that as we progress. But there's a lot of interest from various parts of the world, whether it's Asia or Europe or even North America. we think we'll have a key strategic group involved with us that will really de-risk the investment and the project going forward, and they're backing on us with our management, with our technology, with our project to date, de-risking their investment for them. So that's very much what we're working on. That's very much what we're trying to achieve over the short term. And once we get everything done over the next few months, hopefully, we'd love to show those results to our shareholders, because I think it's going to be transformational for the company and really hold us in good stead for getting to that 12,000 tonne per annum mark. And based on the works that we're doing around sort of feasibility and cash flow modelling and so forth, with those current prices, it's spitting out a lot of money, and you're going to be able to self-fund a lot of the expansion works and future expansion works that we'll look to beyond the next stage, and really set up the company to become a serious producer of lithium carbonate over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years as we expand this operational and construction phase and become hopefully a key producer over that term.
Yeah, I'm sure investors will be really excited to see news of that come out. Talking about that pathway towards 10,000, the additional 10,000 tonnes per annum, of course, still waiting on those approvals. Can you provide an update on that? And then just a high level overview, potentially, if you could, any numbers that you have around construction times, as you did get it, if those building blocks do come into place? Yeah,
and that's another key point that our shareholders have been concerned about. These potential delays on the permitting. They're not really delays. We've had a few, things that we've had to deal with, unfortunately. The key one being the mining secretary of the Salta province moving from that position to the federal secretary of energy position. We're regulated by the local province. They're the ones that give the approvals, the Salta government. The mining secretary change in recent times probably delayed that pathway due to the fact that the former secretary probably was looking to move to that next position, so perhaps we were struggling a little bit to get the traction we needed. But saying that, we've been working with the current secretary and the former secretary's team. They've been very clear about what we've required to be done. There's a lot of requirements for getting that approval, and not only that, the requirements have increased over the last couple of years, given some of the concerns, whether in Chile with water rights or environmental factors. We're seeing more of a ESG component coming into these regulatory requirements, and that's going to be for everyone. So as we've progressed and as we've sort of had to go back and forth with the mines department with some of their queries and comments required with further information, that's probably, like I said, probably been a little bit longer than we'd envisaged initially, just due to this change at the mining secretary level. But as part of that EIA requirement, you need to provide your hydrogeological model. We've done that previously. You've got to update that every 6 months. With this last sort of phase of EIA, the process, we just have to update that hydrogeological model. We've worked on that. We'll submit that hopefully probably this week, and then hopefully that's sort of the final piece of the puzzle that the EIA, or not piece of the puzzle, but the requirement that the mines department have told us they need. So we're very much looking forward to hopefully getting that regulatory approval for that 10,000 tonne expansion this year. And there's no indication why hopefully that shouldn't happen, given we've sort of covered all the other comments, queries, concerns from the mines department. So again, it's been a very open process. Our guys have had a very good relationship. We've got a very good relationship with the current mining secretary, the production minister, who's her boss, and obviously the governor, who's his boss. So we've got a very good relationship with all those government officials. They're very excited to have the first lithium operation in Salta province. So they're all very much pushing for that. They're all very, supportive of us being that first lithium operation in Salta. Our local subsidiary, Puna Mining, is run by Pablo and his family and team, very much looked at as a local company. So we've got a lot of positives. We're doing a lot of community and social work with the community, environmental sort of ESG type works with our local stakeholders. So we're seen as a very good company to be supported by and promoted locally. And like I said, we've had a good relationship with all those key regulatory and government stakeholders. They've been very good with us, albeit it's probably a little bit frustrating for our shareholders, but it has been a difficult and probably a little bit delayed process, but it's been a very good learning curve for us and probably for the government as well, given, like I said, it's the first lithium project to come into production. You know, they got to make sure they dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and then probably double check to make sure everything's good. And like I said, getting these final pieces of work submitted to the government, you know, this week, hopefully puts us in good stead to get that approval this year.
Fantastic. And then if you were able to get funding and those approvals in place, did you have any estimates on time frame from the go towards construction for the second part?
Yeah, listen, I'd like to think that, you know, if we can achieve those sort of timeframes, like I said, lock in a funding solution, hopefully during that same time frame, that we can then look at probably starting construction works, you know, sometime during the first quarter next year. And then probably we're looking at, you know, given current supply chains and dynamics in the market, and, you know, there's a lot of larger groups doing works in Argentina at the moment, people like Ganfeng, obviously with the Cauchari project, with the Marianas project as well, they draw a lot of people. POSCO is very aggressively trying to advance their project as well. Plus, you know, some of the smaller group, it is a draw on human resources and expertise. So, you know, that and not only that, but contractors and consultants and all that sort of stuff. So probably, you know, a 2.5 to 3 year window, probably been a little bit conservative there, just given we're not 100% locked in with you know, that scheduling, but, you know, 2.5 to 3 years to build a project like that is probably what's normal, given Lithium Americas with Ganfeng have probably taken around that time and probably a little bit longer, obviously, albeit a bigger project. But, you know, it does take time to build projects anywhere in the world at the moment, but, you know, probably a 3 year window from early next year to really get into production with that 12,000 tonne scale is probably sort of something that's given us enough leeway to be able to achieve and cover some of the issues that we probably might encounter over the next few years.
Sure. That 12,000 will get you into a globally significant scale, but of course there's exciting drilling going on as well. You provided a recent update in that, a large exploration resource potential. Did you want to speak about kind of how that's going and that, longer term pathway to uplift production even further?
Yeah, listen, obviously early doors, we haven't done drilling for a good number of years now. We did it just down to 100 metres depth effectively, just to prove up an initial resource. That obviously is the basis for moving to this 10,000 tonne expansion. We always knew we'd need to drill deeper, and we're doing that currently. As we said, I think last Friday, we put an announcement there. We're doing a couple of production wells down to deeper depths. That's for the reserve and reserve estimation works, and also for increasing the production capacity and mine life of the project in terms of flow rates and so forth. So that's looking very positive. We had target depths of 300 metres, and the first hole we stopped at 350, could have gone deeper. So that's very positive because there's open scope there. The second hole, or second production well, I think was in the mid 200 depths. Obviously we've continued drilling since that announcement, so that's going very well. That should look to hit probably 350 as well. So that's a very positive for us with that extra capacity from the production well side of the things. The diamond drilling, we've probably had some encounters, like I said earlier, with staffing the drill rig company. Hard work to get drillers offsiders, experienced people and so forth. So that's probably been a little bit slower than what we'd hoped for. But the first hole went down to 150, had to abandon unfortunately due to some drill rig issues. But the second hole has gone down to, I can't remember what we said last week, but around that mid 200 metre mark as well. That's continued since then, where we initially targeted 300 metres depth. I think we'll look to that 350, maybe even push towards 400 if we can, if things go well. So again, that will allow and that enable us to potentially increase the exploration target that we're looking for. So really that holds us in good stead to meet that exploration target, perhaps even increase it. So that will give us a hopefully larger resource than what we're hopefully looking to achieve. And then obviously that sets us up for building up a bigger resource that will have off the back of the reserve works, have a longer mine life, have a larger production rate. And that's really going to take us sort of from that 12,000 tonne per annum next stage to another round of expansion thereafter off the back of this next drilling or this current drilling campaign and the results that we achieve from that. So, again, a lot more to achieve. Like I said, we get cash flows out of the 2,000, we'll get them out of the 12,000 when we get there. And that effectively self-funds that next expansion phase after that, which, hopefully, this drilling will give us a nice production rate in the future that, like you said, not only, sets us up with what we're doing now, but really sets us up to be a major player in the industry over the next sort of 3, 4, 5 years.
It's exciting times for Rincon. That wraps Rincon up nicely. But of course, on the other side, you do have the Tonopah project. I'd like to ask you, how are things progressing there at that pathway? But also, I'm fascinated to hear, we saw the Inflation Reduction Act previously. We're really seeing this focus on localization of supply chains. So how's the sentiment changing, and maybe some of those discussions you're having playing out too?
Yeah, like you said, the Inflation Reduction Act, that's going to be a major promoter of not only American projects, but obviously the free trade agreement countries for America for projects in those countries. So obviously the US being the first port of call, you can see that will make a big impact. We probably haven't seen that immediately with our project, given that we're at an early stage there. We've probably slowed down a little bit with our works at Tonopah, given the extra sort of requirements at Rincon as we're gearing up and with these exploration works. So we were hopeful to sort of get some drilling done at Tonopah this year. We're still, whether we can achieve that or not, probably still to be confirmed, given we're sort of towards the back end of the year and winter coming up in that part of the world. So we'll see how we go. We're still got to sort of really finalise the geophysical surveying works that we've done and really prove up what we need to do there to give us every chance of success with that drilling when we get to it. But I guess, it's probably taken a little bit of a back seat due to not the excitement and the advanced stage of Rincon, but we really just want to make sure we have all our hands on deck at Rincon to make sure we give it every chance to move as quickly as we can there and every chance to be as successful as we can from day one there. So we're probably, unfortunately Tonopah suffered a little bit there, but we're still very excited there, like you said, with that local demand requirement. We've seen, even some of our dealings on the strategic side of things with Rincon, that, some of these potential parties understand, and potentially some of their operations being in the US will impact where they can source their product from. And that's something that is on the radar, albeit early doors. But, what they are looking for is, not just tomorrow when they need product, but over the next 3 to 5 years. And that's where I guess some of these, sort of strategy of what we're thinking needs to play a role, because, the battery manufacturing facilities, the cathode manufacturing facilities in the US are all 2 to 4 years away. So some of these strategic groups that are going to be feeding those supply chains or utilizing these supply chains probably won't need product for that period of time. So, that's a window that we're working towards.
There's plenty to go off, a lot of irons in the fire there for Argosy. I did want to ask you as well, obviously fairly bullish, I'm sure, but what is that lithium market outlook that you're seeing, and kind of how is sentiment changing in the space?
Yeah, listen, sentiment has changed a lot in the last 9 months, from the start of this year, even from, mid last year. It is amazing. I was recently in Europe talking to some, strategic groups. You just don't realize how no, I won't say desperate, but that feels like what the word is for securing product over the short-term period, because it's very difficult. They appreciate that existing producers cannot supply the extra demand that will be required. It's going to take a lot of work by the up-and-coming developers to get in production. They realise that. They're probably betting that some of the ones that they're hoping for get up, some of the ones that are more advanced to definitely get up. And then it's, those companies are the ones they're looking at, which is part of the Argosy sort of Rincon approach there, that, they're requiring these groups to, including ours, to really put that product into the market over the next few years. And that's where we're seeing a lot of interest on that side of things. But in terms of, short term and where lithium prices will be, I think, SQM put out their annual results only a week or so ago. And I think as part of their commentary, they weren't quite sure where the lithium price will be over the next 3 to 6 to 9 months. And when one of the majors can't really see what's going to happen with price, we can't probably help too much in that regard either. But, been to a couple of conferences in the lithium sector over the last few months, everyone's saying the same thing, that, that supply is not going to meet the demand. Supply is going to struggle to get online as quickly as what the demand requires. So I think over the short to medium term, and that's probably over the next, 12 months to 5 years, I think, the outlook is very positive for anyone getting into production. You're going to find a market. You're going to find groups that will be prepared to invest, subject to the right DD and subject to the right credentials of a project, the right management, the right technology. So I think it's very favourable. Albeit what SQM said and what we probably corroborate, we're not quite sure, but we know it's going to be in a position of strength, the lithium price, and it's going to be very favourable for companies that are selling into that market. And we are seeing offtake arrangements, obviously early stage type stuff off the back of very early stage projects, but there is progress there, and terms are in the favour of the producer, and we're seeing that as well. So we expect to see very favourable outcomes for the company, like I said, over the next few months and over the longer term, because we're going to be selling into a market that's is short and is very strong, and that's where we will be able to take advantage and leverage our ability to do that and achieve the results that we will to really set us up over the longer term and really build a long-term sustainable lithium production company.
Does seem like Argosy is in the right place at the right time there with those supply and demand dynamics. I did want to ask you, obviously ASX 300 inclusion, it's fantastic recognition, moving up the indexes there. Any final reflections that you had for shareholders who have followed the journey, whether it's from the early days or maybe those who are just now learning about the Argosy Minerals story?
Yeah, listen, hopefully the long-term shareholders understand our company strategy, my strategy and what we're trying to achieve. There's a lot more to come. I still probably think we're undervalued for the stage that we're at. Probably, and I just had a call with a broker or a fund manager, before this, and been speaking to him over the last sort of probably 10 years, but 5 years on Argosy, and he goes, "Oh, geez, I would have loved to have listened to you 5 years ago when you were telling us that you're going to achieve all this." With Pablo and our local team, we've been able to tick a lot of boxes. We've got a lot more boxes to tick. We're going to back ourselves to achieve all of that. We're not stopping until we do. And we've got a great position to be able to do that. So whether it's the long-term shareholders, I think there's a lot more upside. For new shareholders, like I said, I think we've got a long way to go, a lot more value to generate from what we're trying to build as a company. While these lithium prices stay strong, we've seen some of our larger peers, what they've been able to do and where they've been able to grow over the last 12 months. People like Allchem have done a great job. That's something we want to replicate and we want to do. And we've got one project that's quite advanced, another project that's up and coming, but we've got to look at those development options. We've got to look at new opportunities. While you're generating future cash flow from operations, you've got a lot more options to do things, and we're going to try to capitalize on all those and really build a company that's going to be around for a long time off the back of what we think is the right team. I don't think there's any better team to build lithium projects probably anywhere in the world, lithium brine projects, with the technology and the expertise that we've got, the experience that we've previously had through our key people, including Pablo, but also with the team that we've built and the experience that we've got building the 2000 and then hopefully building the 10,000. There's not many companies that have been able to do that. A lot of technological challenges. If we can achieve all of this, it's really going to set us up for a very favourable future. And I think any new shareholders or recent shareholders will reap the benefits of that as well.
That is the Argosy Minerals story. It's ASX AGY. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to share it out. Make sure you've liked, subscribed, and turned your bell notifications on. We'll leave a link to some other lithium interviews that you can check out after this one. Jerko Zuvela, it's an absolute pleasure. Look forward to catching up again soon, and best of luck on the pathway to very near-term production. Exciting to see.
Thank you very much. And if I can quickly add, you do a great job not only promoting lithium companies in Argosy, but you do a great job with what you do. And we, I won't speak on behalf of everyone, but from us, you do a great job. We really appreciate all the work and effort you do. And long may it continue, because I think you provide a very valuable source of information for all your interested people that are tune in, and well done.
It means a lot. Thank you. Plenty more interviews to come. So thanks for being part of it. Thanks, Jerko.
Cheers.